How long I've been in the tri-state and what keeps us here. I'll answer the what keeps us here first. I've got friends, I've got family within a couple of 100 miles. I've got a part-time job. I love it here. We got a big yard, got a nice house. I came to Evansville area. I live in Wadesville. I came here in 1978. I went to work for Super X drugstores. We were living in Starkville, Mississippi at the time, after I graduated from Sanford University. We wanted to get closer to my son's grandfather, who was the only grandparent left, Sue's dad. And so we moved up here in the middle of the blizzard of 1978. So we got here, or I took the job, and then the State Board of Pharmacy wasn't meeting. We couldn't move so quick because I couldn't get my license to transfer. So we waited and moved in this house on Easter Sunday, 1978. The favorite things I like about this area, first off, is the people. Like I said, I've made a lot of good friends, both professionally as a pharmacist and as a photographer and as a neighbor. So the people is the main thing. I like the diversity of the weather. I like the diversity of, animal behavior and birds and the different things that the tri-state has to offer. What got me into photography and why I did it? As a small child, I was running around my dad's drugstore, and we always had cameras for sale, cameras to demonstrate for customers, and I got to do that kind of thing. And we would send the film off, and it would come back next week. And so when I was probably 10, I got a star flash instead of my little square brownie. I've always had cameras. I've always enjoyed shooting. When the kids were growing up, I did thousands of slides, and I've got them in boxes upstairs. And so, I got tons of slides. But each couple of years, I'd say, Sue, I need to have a new camera. I need this or that. So I've always expanded on that. But I was raised in photography situations. The other thing is my mother was a birder, and so I would even try to shoot birds on the feeder with an old-fashioned brownie, which was impossible, but that's where my two loves of birding and photography got together. I will be 70. It was, I know I got the little Kodak Star Flash 127 film, and I was probably 10 or 11 years old then. The first day I got a good Minolta camera, Sue was babysitting and I was in pharmacy school, and I got this Minolta way over camera for me, and it was so dark and gloomy and rainy in Birmingham that day, and I had to have something to take pictures of outside. So I started taking pictures of flies on the trash can. So yeah, I keep doing things like that. The things I like to photograph, if you are following me on Facebook, you will see people 1 minute and Santa Claus the next, and birds and wildlife and sunsets and stars. And I can't say I'm good at any of it, but I like what light does with nature. And if I can look at something and get a decent picture, it may not be anything great, but to me it's an accomplishment. How do I feel about printing my work? I have a decent printer for up to an 8x10 or 8.5 by 11. And I print some pictures. For the most part, if it's something that I want to cherish and to put on the walls, I let some other company print these pictures. It's not that the ones I do are not fairly good, I just want real good. So small pictures, yeah, I'll print them because I want it right now. But if it's something that's gonna, be an heirloom for my family to look at for 30 years, I want the stability of the commercial printer because they generally last better than an inkjet printer. My goals for a photographer, what is to make a better picture tomorrow than I did today. I am not in the business of photography. I have been when there were Little League pictures to be made, and I sold them like a lot of parents back to the family, and that was fun. We enjoyed it. It is very difficult if you're taking pictures of the community around here is blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids with a squint, with holding a bat in their hand, and they're all cousins, and you couldn't tell them apart. So that got to be a challenge. But my pictures are to give away. I am not a commercial photographer. I take the picture for my own enjoyment. The greatest thing you can do for me is click like on the picture, or even go so far as to put a little heart on Facebook. I love photography. I love showing, look what I did. But to say, I'm going to be a portrait photographer or work for National Geographic or anything commercial, I have a job. I only work 2 days every other week now, but I don't need the money. I like to save up enough to buy better equipment, but I'm not here to sell. In that respect, I think many of the EPG people are hobbyists like me. They want to take better pictures. They want to learn. And there are some that are doing an excellent job. But there are some that have realistic goals of being, the next Ansel Adams or whatever. And I wish them all the luck, but I'm not going to be that person. What gear do I use? I have become a Canon person. Started off on Minolta, and when you buy a couple of lenses and then have to change gear when digital came around, I said, well, it's either Canon or Nikon, and I see more people, I think, shooting Canons, so I got a Canon to start with, and I've bought a couple others, a little better cameras, and I still maybe buy a new one someday, but I think glass is what I'm looking for now. I do like the Canon equipment. To me, it's a learning process. I'll use Lightroom as a processor. I use Photoshop. I use a couple other programs just because I know how to do it. I always shoot RAW, and I enjoy taking a picture and making it look a little bit more dramatic or more colorful or something different with it. Tips for people starting out with a camera. Many of us have cameras. Many of us shoot Christmas, birthdays, and vacations. And the rest of the time, the camera is in the drawer. The tip I have for any photographer, whether you're a kid starting off with your first camera, or you're an old guy like me that's got lots of cameras, point it, shoot it, post it, process it, admire it. The camera is not a 4-day-a-year toy. It's an everyday toy. And make your camera your friend. And as I was driving home today, because it was cloudy and we had to go to town shopping, I said, I'm going without a camera on the way back. I said, I came to town without a camera. And Evelyn Sorensen said, there's a snow owl somewhere in the area. I know I'm going to find it today because I didn't have my camera. So carry your camera. Don't be ashamed to use it. That's my big tip for any photographer. Whether you're the teenager with his first camera or you're a professional that has something to see. But there's always an image that needs to be captured. To rate myself between 1 and 10, that's very good. I'm a cocky guy, so I'm going to say I'm a 10. But realistically, I am probably a good 5 or 6. I enjoy what I do. I know I'm not going to be the greatest guy in the world, but I look around our camera club and I see so many people that amaze me about how well they see things. I can see some things that are making good pictures, but that's the talent that I wish I had. I would say, yeah, I'm a 5 or a 6. I'm a pretty decent photographer, but there's so much to learn. I tell my friends and family, I've worked harder to become a photographer than I ever did in a lifetime to become a pharmacist, because this is for fun and I work to try to make my pictures better. The career and continuing education and making myself the best pharmacist possible, I did that because I knew I had to. But as a photographer, I don't have to, but I want to. So yeah, I'll say I'm a 5 or a 6, but I sure would like to be up there with some of these other guys in our club. What I struggle with the most as a photographer, it is if you're shooting wildlife and you're trying to get that bird that's 2 miles away to come out in a perfect, like there is in the book, and it flies away too soon or it blurs or whatever. Lighting, shutter speed, the simple things can be so difficult for any photographer. And if you're in the bushes and the lighting's not perfect and your model is flitting away, it is really difficult to get those sharp quality pictures. For the most part, if it's a controlled setting, I can make it okay, but when you're dealing with nature, it's not always that way.